Flash 905 aired tonight, the last episode of The Red Death, and it was an amazing episode. Like, this is easily the best episode of the season. I don't care what happens through 906, 7, and 8. Right now, this is the best episode of the season, and probably the best. It has some of the best scenes that the show's had since season 2. Like, the fight scene that we got, it was a minute or two long, and it was the best piece of fight I think the show's ever had. Just because Barry was leveled the hell up from season 8, and Barry didn't get tossed on his butt by lightning for once. He dodged it. He threw it. He blocked it. He blocked boomerangs moving at super speed. Red Death pulled a Spider-Man move, which was so cool. And again, Barry used a Speed Force shield, which we saw in 805, but even then it wasn't like this. This is a new Speed Force shield that Barry made. Like, it was so cool. And it was easily, I think, the best piece of fight that show's ever had. Now, I know it's CGI. I don't care how it looked. I thought it looked good. I mean, it's not going to look perfect. It's a W show. It never looks perfect. But with the budget they had, with Grodd in this episode, which takes a lot of budget, the fact they pulled off a fight like that, I think should say a lot. And also the budget that went into making all those Red Death suits for the episode, I mean, that's a lot. So the fact they made that fight as good as it was, I think the production team, the CGI team, whatever the hell they're calling the Flash, need to really, round of applause here, because they knocked it out of the park with that fight. The choreography was amazing. I think that was 100% Grant in that scene. You could tell. I want to say it's Javicia in that suit too, because I know they both like doing their own stunts, especially Grant and Javicia both do. So I'm just gonna say it was Grant and Javicia. There might have been a stunt double or one or two here and there, but overall it did look like it was Grant and Javicia. Even if it wasn't, it really did look like them. And Grant's always looked on CGI, so it's kind of hard to tell, but at the same time, it's really not. It's difficult to explain, but that fight was amazing. There are some loose ends here, like what happened to the rogues that Red Death had. We don't know. It was never brought up, as far as I'm aware. Joe's leaving with Jenna, and he's basically forcing Cecile to not allow her to see their kid till weekends. Which I have my own opinions about. I don't think that really fits Joe's character. But, because aren't you technically raising another Iris by doing that? Wasn't the entire thing of Iris in season 2 and 3? Or no, season 2, because Joe took Iris away from her mother because she was a drug addict or whatever, right? Wasn't that the whole thing? And it affected Iris years later. And now you're basically doing the same thing to Jenna, except the only difference is she gets to see her mother on weekends only. I get why he's doing it. It just takes Cecile with you. Don't leave her with us. We don't want her here. That's the problem. But I'm happy for Joe. I think he deserves to leave. He's been here for 9 years. He's been through hell and back several times over. So I think it was a long time coming. How Red Death knew about Psyche and Savitar stabbing him. Honestly, I think the best way to explain it is either A, her psych powers that she got enhanced by Grodd, just learning about everything and, all that. Or B, it happened in her timeline or on Earth, wherever the hell she's from. I think that's 100% the answer. Now, relating to Grodd, it was amazing to see him back. I know people didn't understand the story plot here. They didn't pay attention. To sum it up, Barry in season 6, I think it was 614, last time we saw Grodd escaped from that mind prison and he went on to go find his tribe guerrilla tribe, whatever. He had no help, so the Red Death appeared for whatever reason. Again, her plan to boost her powers by Grodd, so that's the reason right there. And basically tricked Grodd into thinking that she would help him. She really didn't. And she put him under like a mind thing and basically could have turned him against the Flash if he didn't talk him down right away. But Grodd was just like a puppet to Red Death. You know, you're going to do this for me, and I'm going to say I'm going to do it for you, but I'm really not going to. In this show, in this episode, it was Red Death telling Grodd, I'll help you find your tribe if you do this for me, amp up my powers, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to, backstab you. Which Barry did bring up, that Grodd's the most powerful telepath in the universe, and he couldn't figure that out. But he was so consumed with being alone. He had no friends, no family, nothing. I felt bad for Grodd this episode. I generally do sometimes, but there's like a whole other level of feeling bad for Grodd because he really has been left alone. He's been left on the side. And I think, it was a kind of a bad situation in 6 because Barry was losing his speed. After, I think, 614, he started losing it. But Team Flash is helping Grodd find his tribe now. That's a cool old nod that they put in this episode that I noticed. So, this is the last time we see Grodd. I'm assuming it is, because... but, it was a very good episode for Grodd and Red Death and Barry. I think it was a good episode all around, I think. Now, it was a little bit slow starting. I think they could have easily, sped some stuff up. We did see Red Death murder someone. I'm assuming she killed several people over the time span of that time period when Barry's in Africa recruiting Grodd, getting his speed back. Which, by the way, I'm glad they tied back to season 6 when Barry gave a spark of the Speed Force to Grodd and they merged in their minds. But that spark still existed in Grodd's mind, which is so smart to do. And it was the perfect way to tie Grodd into this story arc and to the Flash in general. Because, Barry lost speed of the treadmill and he lost it again to Red Death by completely taking it away. And then Grodd was the one to be able to give him it fully back. I think that was the perfect way that could possibly ever went. I don't think there was any other way that could have went, to be honest with you. Now, there's one thing that caught my attention this episode. That green cloaked figure in the season 9 trailer that I've been saying for months now is 100% the Spectre, aka Oliver Queen, just showing up in a cameo to tease a future appearance, aka 909. We didn't see him. We didn't see that cloaked figure. We saw every single other scene in that trailer besides that one scene. So my thought process is that is a cliffhanger for either 906, 907, or 908. My guess is for 908. If assuming it is a Spectre, it's a cliffhanger for 908, and then 909 is when he comes back as a Green Arrow for whatever reason returns as Green Arrow. This Spectre could easily do that, by the way. But I've already said my full theories about that. But that was something that caught my eye after finishing the episode. We didn't see that one scene, but all the other scenes in the season 9 trailer we got, the original trailer we got like a month ago, all those scenes in that trailer besides that one, we saw in this one episode or the other 4. Iris is now pregnant. Keone announced it, which is hilarious because the West Allen fans are just losing their crap right now on Twitter, which is so hilarious. I love it. I like how we've been suffering all this time because of West Allen, and now they're suffering because Eric Wallace decided to make Keone, aka Caitlin, just spoil a surprise of Iris being pregnant. It's hilarious. West Allen's ruined so much on this show. Look, I love the relationship. I love Barry and Iris together. But the fact is, Iris has been the pain in everyone's butt for the past 5 years. And it's the fact that moment was ruined by Caitlin is hilarious. And, like, I think Iris' storylines are better this season than they were the past few. But it's still hilarious that Keon completely stole that moment. It's great. Speaking of Keon, Barry, for the second time now, called her Caitlin. I'm assuming that's, like, you know, it's done on purpose. I think it's to show that Barry isn't, like, fully accepting that, okay, we're stuck with Keon, but Caitlin isn't really dead. Even though he said that in that scene, there's a part of him that doesn't want to admit that she really is truly gone. I think he's still holding out hope that Caitlin can come back. He just doesn't want, you know, to admit that she can never come back. Which I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that she won't, because we know that Keon is in 913. At least what it looks like is Keon. I could be wrong, but Batwoman came back this episode. The original Batwoman, our Batwoman from Earth Prime, and she fought Red Death. It was a very cool fight between them two. It's following the Flashverse Red Death fight. So we got 2 fight scenes back to back, which is something I don't think the show's done in ever. I don't think we've ever had 2 fight scenes back to back. Granted, one was a massive CGI thing, and the other one wasn't. So, you know, it's just getting the actress there, which is easily done. But it was definitely an interesting take. Like, what we're dealing with is a Speedster fight going into a Batman-esque fight. It was very, very, very cool. And beyond anything I could have imagined the fight being. This episode could have gone a completely different direction. And I'm not gonna lie, when it started, I thought I would be doing a completely different video right now. I thought I'd be going on a rant. But I was so blown away by the back half of this episode that the first half I'm not even, like, really gonna talk about. Because that's what I already talked about. Cecile, which, again, first half, was actually useful. Helped track down Red Death, which Red Death tricked Cecile into finding Mark, which is how Barry got speed taken away completely, because Red Death negated it, to trick Barry into going there. It was a very wonderful scene and a very well-written scene. No one's going to admit that besides me probably paging someone else. So, I think that, the episode was really well-written. And the Sentinels of Red Death, I know we were comparing it to Godspeed when I saw the clip last night when it came out. I was comparing it to Godspeed, but, I mean, holy crap. Like, I think Eric Wallace, what he was doing here was saying, hey, we got screwed over on Godspeed. Here's Red Death. Here's my redemption for Godspeed. He redeemed himself the Forces Nate. Right here, right now, he redeemed himself with the Godspeed arc. Is the Godspeed arc good? Hell no. Is the Red Death arc good? It's much better than any arc we had in season 3 through 7. It's not better than Armageddon. It's not better than Deathstorm arc, I don't think. I have to look at the Deathstorm arc. But for me, the first and last ever novel is Nate. Red Death did not top them two. Red Death did not top season 1 and season 2. But in regards to fight scenes, as I said earlier, easily the best fight I think the show's ever had. It's just Red Death could have been the best ever now of the series, easily, if they didn't push her to the side for the first 3 episodes. I think if they focus on her since 901, maybe 902, because I think 901 was perfect for the premiere. You know, it brought back, it was a week later, it brought in Barry and Iris. I think it was the best Barry and Iris episode the show's had. And I do think the matter of the fact is that if there was more Red Death, this would be the best villain of the series. Period. I love Javicia's Red Death. I know a lot of people didn't, but it's my opinion. You don't like it, good for you, go somewhere else. I think Javicia killed it. There were some scenes in this episode where I was like, okay, you're a little bit overdoing it. But the thing is that she knows Red Death. She knows this character. And I think it showed more than any other time she was on screen for Red Death in this episode. That being said, I love seeing Javicia back as Batwoman. I didn't watch the show, but I did see scenes of Javicia as Batwoman, and I love her as a character. I think she knocked it out of the park as both playing those characters, Red Death and Batwoman. Barry and Joe had a pep talk this episode, which is a very good pep talk. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. I think it was needed for Joe, and not really Barry. Barry's greatest mistake being that Grodd, end up in Red Death's control. I wouldn't say it's his greatest mistake. I say it's one of his greatest mistakes. But I wouldn't say it's his greatest. I think one of his greatest are probably yet to come up in the back half. But I don't think it's even close to one of his greatest mistakes. Like Flashpoint or, Oliver dying for Barry, whether you want to consider that a mistake or not. Armageddon. That whole happened because Barry teased Thawne with being faster. It was a whole thing for Thawne being pissed off. And killing Iris in 820 or 819 at the end there. Like, I think there are definitely many more mistakes that Barry's made. I think the way they set that up, though, in this episode for Grodd being one of Barry's big mistakes, leaving him there to go on his own, him falling on Red Death, and it leading to all this, the city being under attack, the world being under attack by Red Death. I get what they were going for, but I don't think this is even close to one of Barry's biggest mistakes. Again, I get it. I get what they were going for, but they could have said one of his greatest mistakes, not his greatest mistake of all time. That's not true. And I think, I would like to think Eric Wallace knows that. But this episode was easily like a 8 out of 10. This graphic novel is probably an 8 out of 10 too. Purely because of that fight. If we did not get a fight between Barry and Red Death, this graphic novel probably would be a 6 for me. But because that fight was just so amazing, I have to give it a 8. I don't know if it's because I'm still hyped up, but I have to give it an 8 after that. The episode, same thing. I would probably give the episode probably like a 5. I mean, if it wasn't for that... Well, no. Probably a 7 without that fight. Because, Red Death did kill people. He killed one person on screen, which, was fine. But it would have been nice to see more. The Sentinels, which I think were very well executed. Cecile not being annoying, actually being useful. I didn't have a problem with Mark this episode. And the bottom line is that the fight between Barry and Red Death, Ryan Wilder and Red Death, Batwoman Red Death, was amazing. CCPD, I thought Kramer would die. She didn't, so I was wrong. But still an amazing scene with Kramer and Red Death. Team Flash Rogues disbanding. We saw them later in the episode, but they're a good crew now, I guess. So that's something. But this is a pretty damn good episode. One of the best we've had, at least to me, since season 8. I still love season 8. It's going to be my favorite season, at least, or second favorite, probably. And it's going to remain that way forever, probably. But season 9, it started out kind of good, and then it dipped, and then it dipped, and then it went up, and then it dipped. But I think 905 with that fight scene is what we should all be focusing on right now. I know not everyone will, but that fight gives me so much hype for 910 through 913 when Barry, Cobalt Blue are fighting, assuming they even get a fight, which they better. Assuming they fight, that fight's going to be amazing. Assuming Cobalt Blue is a speedster, which I'm assuming he will be. But in 913, when there's Zoom, Thawne, Eddie as Cobalt Blue, Eobard Thawne as Reverse Flash, Savitar, and several Godspeeds, yeah, that's going to be a big speedster fight, and that better knock it out of the park. We have a leveled up Barry that dodged lightning, dodged speedster batarangs, it was the best fight the show's ever had, and Eric Wallace knocked it out of the park. His ideas needed to be executed better in 901 through 903. There's a reason 904 and 905 topped the other 3 episodes, in my opinion. Now, I'll be doing a full review over the Red Death graphic novel next week. Give my full-on opinions about it before 906 airs next Wednesday. Thank you for all support. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.